Good afternoon, everybody. My name is miahtheking, and the letter of the day today is R. Today we're taking a look at a game just released on Steam this morning called Strandedaliendawn, developed by... Wow, that's a hard name to say. Hamimont Games, or Hamimont Games. Man, I think that's how it's pronounced. Published by Frontier Foundry. Now, you might be aware of these guys. They've made some intense, amazing games in the past, such as Surviving Mars, not Saving Mars, or Tropico 3 Golden Edition, and the publishers have been involved in games like Far Changing Tides, Jurassic World 1 and 2, and many, many more. So we're bound to be in for a good time, I should think. The game is selling, for me at least, $30 American, and that's a bit pricey, but let's move on. The game is released in early access, so that should let you know what kind of game we're looking at here, or what the potential is, so, there's that. Early access is a good excuse, but it's not an end-all excuse. There's only so much I'm willing to ignore in an early access. So is this game worth our time and money? Well, let's find out together, shall we? Now, this game is basically a survival simulation / strategy kind of game. You control a small crew of up to 4 people who are traveling through space when their ship crashes on an alien world. Now you have to hunt, gather, craft, and build and survive on this harsh new alien world until you figure out a way off of it. Wait a minute. This sounds awfully familiar to another game. Bah! I'm sure that's just coincidence. And probably the only one we'll have. So as always, I'm going to tell you guys all the good about this game before we go into the bad, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. In return, you guys watch the video. Deal? Don't forget to like and subscribe. So, the very first thing I want to bring a positive light to is the tutorial. It's separate from the main game, obviously, but it's still really well done and very much appreciated, especially after the last couple of games that I've tried out. Oof. Anyway, it's simple and still fun, and it teaches you how to play the game and everything in it that you're going to need to know so you can enjoy yourself. So even if you find tutorials distasteful, I still highly recommend playing through it before going to the main game. It's not too long or difficult or complicated, and it's actually kind of fun at introducing you to the new stuff that you're going to need to know. As you go deeper into the game, you'll see that it's very intuitive. It's got a lot of attention to detail that you really don't want to miss, and it's just really cool to see overall. I mean, in the freezer you can build, you'll actually see inside the freezer the different types of food stored there. I mean, that's just so cute. But alongside that, for instance, you can build a house, but it doesn't make you necessarily micromanage building that house. It can give you like prefabs that you can set down and then place things inside of, like a research bench or a table or beds or whatever. When it comes to building a house itself, it's pretty easy. Just drag and drop the dimensions you want and boom, you got a house. It's got temperature. You can place windows and doors wherever you want and control whether they are open or not. You can easily toggle the roof view on or off to see if your roof was built all the way or correctly, and by opening and closing the window, you help control the inner temperature. It basically allows you to build complicated stuff like this without all the complicated micromanaging that a lot of these games really like to tack on when it's unnecessary. The game has a different kind of research function. Due to you being on an alien planet, it's not just using a research bench, although some research does need to be done this way. But it also has a kind of hands-on research. You have to go find something new and have your survivors observe it and find out if it's deadly or not, or what it can be used for, thus unlocking new technologies and resources. You can observe animals and find out what they're used for, their patterns, whether they're dangerous. This is a really cool idea and a far more practical way of looking at it, and I was very happy to see this kind of innovation. What I really liked about this game, though, is how it has a lot of functions and informations, almost making you feel like you're micromanaging or that maybe there's too much. But that's just it. There isn't too much information. It's all organized properly and well done. It's like they've been watching my reviews. They give you all the information you need to know, everything organized properly and without it being overly complicated or confusing. It's info, but it's not too much info. It's just the right amount in an easy to understand way. Know what I mean? This just makes the whole thing better. The UI is easy to understand, it's easy to comprehend, it's easy to learn, it's easy to manage. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you want to look at. And the game has a way to manage activities and set priorities to tasks, which is exactly like another game I know of. Is this game RimWorld? Because it's an awful lot like RimWorld. I mean, all the way down to using numbers to signify what takes more priority or taking certain people off of certain tasks they're not good at. So, the managing automatic priority chores that your survivors will do on their own is exactly like RimWorld. And if you don't know what RimWorld is, it's simple. You tell your survivors what tasks they are mainly responsible for, forbidden from, or what they should do if their main priority is unavailable. By making this automatic, it will require less micromanaging for you, and your people will progress to keeping their settlement alive without needing you to micromanage. This function really comes in handy when you have over a dozen survivors, a massive base, and you have those survivors running around and you're trying to manage them all, plus your resources and plus your base. Also, just like in RimWorld, they have a schedule you can manage, where you can tell them when to sleep, when to work, when to eat, and when to socialize and have fun based on what time of the day it is, and you get to change it as you please. And if you needed even more proof that this game is basically RimWorld, they even have a little herb you can find in the wild called Smoke Leaf. Smoke Leaf! You know, the space equivalent of weed, pot, 420, that stuff. Not even called something different, it's just Smoke Leaf. Hilarious. But anyway, the game even goes so far as giving a cool new way of looking at electricity and managing it. I mean, first you build a solar panel, and we all know how those work. Then you hook it up to a telephone pole to connect the power, which then automatically connects power to any devices in the area. But that's not all. You can build a wind turbine, a battery, and a fuel generator. But here's where it gets cool. You can build a power reserve switch thingy next to the fuel generator, so it only turns on when the other power supplies aren't giving enough. Completely automatic. You don't even have to worry about switching it on or off like in RimWorld. Meaning, you won't be wasting fuel on this thing all the time. And when they have a motion detector and an auto turret that work together, so that your auto turret only wakes up and uses electricity if the motion detector detects any motion, that's when the gun comes to life and blasts them little critters to hell. I mean, it so reminded me of the turret guns in Aliens, the sequel to Alien. I mean, that was so freaking cool. And I love that whole mechanic. That way you're not wasting electricity, and it all is automatic. It all works so well together. Like, that's really cool. I mean, this game gives you so much to explore and fiddle around with in a style similar, if not exactly like RimWorld, which only makes the game easier to get into and understand what's going on and what you're doing and how to do it. The game's graphics aren't the best, as you can clearly tell, but the potential is definitely there. I mean, for an early access copy, they already have a pretty darn good setup going here, and I just love the attention to detail and the color contrast that you can see here. The art design is also phenomenal. The sound effects and music are pretty good too. The music is perfect for the setting and helping to immerse you into the game, which it's also very similar to RimWorld's music if you recognize that. And the sound effects sound pretty alright too. The building things, the shooting, the fire, they all sound about right, although the graphics on the fire looks a little off. I don't like that. The length of time that you'll be playing and the replayability, plus the level of content and quality here, makes that price tag worth it as well, even though it might be a bit steep for some people. And I think that's all the positives I got to say about the game. I could go on and on about them, but I don't want to repeat myself or bore you guys. So now then, time to tell you all the awful, horrible things that I freaking hate about this game, and we're really just going to turn you off and make you run for cover. I hate the color of the lasers. White? Why such a boring color? Give me red, or bright blue, or green, or purple, or something. And the speed. The 3x speed isn't fast enough. It's almost fast enough, but not quite there. And it's not very original in its idea. It's pretty much just RimWorld, but with more detail and three-dimensional. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I got. So yeah, fix those lasers, devs, and make them a different color, and make the speed faster, and I don't know, you can't really change the idea, plus it's a pretty good one since it worked so well for RimWorld. So yeah, that's about all I got to say about the bad. Honestly, I couldn't really find a lot of bad with it that can't be excused as early access because they were so minor. You know, sometimes when they're hunting, they get stuck or they don't listen to commands. The graphics are a little fuzzy in places. But I mean, for an early access title, this is how it should be done. I mean, the game never crashed on me, never froze or stuttered or clipped. It's really stable. It's definitely fun and addictive and immersive. But on the other hand, it pretty much is just RimWorld. But I mean, hey, most people shouldn't have a problem with that. I mean, come on, Slime Rancher 2 was basically just Slime Rancher 1 and people still loved it everywhere. So this game shouldn't get any hate for basically being RimWorld, right? Although the difference here is this is made by completely different people and not a sequel to RimWorld. As far as early access games go, this one is fantastic. The quality and content is there, as is the stability. It's a bit pricey, but for all the things this game offers, in my opinion, it's worth it. In conclusion, this is basically RimWorld, and I would still recommend everyone who sees this video to go out and give the game a try. I mean, in the first hour, you're going to know what you're getting into, and you can choose if you're going to want a refund or not. But I really liked it, and I was really struggling to find anything about it that I didn't like. I loved RimWorld, and seeing a more in-depth, three-dimensional, more detailed version of RimWorld, to me, is pretty awesome. So go out and try this game. I highly recommend it. So that's all the time I got for this video, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or concerns, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I can't wait to see you all again on my next adventure. Until then, I bid you all farewell.